Hello and good afternoon. My name is Dillon Flores and today I'll be presenting to you my senior project in criminal justice. The title of my project is called The Treasure Box That Should Not Be Found. This, in doing so, is Ban the Box. Now, I know some individuals may be looking at my presentation and asking what is Ban the Box and what does that entail and what does that mean? I myself, in fact, did not even know what Ban the Box was and how long it has been around and what it truly entails. So I am here to further explain what is Ban the Box. Ban the Box laws hinders employers from questioning an individual's criminal background during a job application. Now, unfortunately, some applicants reluctantly have to check yes on the box or put an X on the box, whichever, thus shredding them out of the application processes for good. In doing so, however, the employers that they are sending their application to use this to segregate applicants with a criminal record and without criminal records. In doing so, they even consider the crime, the duration of the time that has been passed since the crime, and even how the applicants are doing now. Seemingly, these individuals with a criminal past utterly face extreme unemployment rates alongside high recidivism rates because of the lack of employment. Furthermore, some of these individuals have families, children, guardians that they are taken care of, etc., etc. And unfortunately, since due to whatever issues they may have had in the past, now they have a convicted felony or of any sort of crime in their criminal history. Unfortunately, now they have to have that segregating and oppressive markings labeling them, saying that they are in fact an ex-convicted individual. So now that I have discussed what Ban the Box entails and what it means, I am here to discuss now the issues that I found in my research of Ban the Box. Now, one main takeaway that I found in my research was the offender demographics such as age, race, ethnicity, and gender all play an important part in the outcome of the job applicant's choice. One type of discrimination that I found very interesting was the disparate impact discrimination. This happens when a superficially equitable policy extravagantly affects members of a particular race. For example, I would like to mention African Americans and Latino men. These two minorities are typically arrested at an unreasonably higher rate than Caucasian males. Now, because of this issue, most employers will probably steer away from interviewing these lower minorities such as African Americans and Latino men solely because of the fact that they typically have the most rates of criminal records seen. The employer faces the stigma that these individuals are more than likely ex-offenders just because of their demographics. Now, because unfortunately of these stereotyping issues that society faces, this can lead to a racial variance in upcoming employment rates, thus not giving fair options or similar options to other individuals without criminal history versus their counterpart with criminal history, and are given jobs that no one really wants. However, when employers are not really given the chance to redeem themselves from society, it makes it that much harder for them not to fall back into their recidivistic tendencies. Now, I want to say that Ban the Box can actually help achieve these strong goals for society and for racially cultivated areas of, and to basically give opportunities to these individuals. Due to the lack of opportunities they are given, they have no other option to just accept any type of job that is given to them, as inhumane or humane as possible as it may be. Now, in this slide, I'm going to be discussing the brief history of Ban the Box and the predecessors that they had before what we know as Ban the Box today. For starters, I want to discuss the All of Us or None. This initially began as a civil rights movement, and this movement was for the nation's minorities and it affecting them in various ways and the outcomes that they had towards families and even children of ex-offenders. Unfortunately, this movement did take 10 years to be passed in any other state. Hawaii was the first state to be passed in 1998. They also adopted the Fair Chance Law with the All of Us or None law to enable public and private employments from even ex-convicted individuals. Now, the good thing about this fair chance law is that they were only asking for necessary information, such as how many years of experience you have, any degrees or expectations that you might have of the company, your proficiency in reading, writing, using the computer, etc. Now, both the Fair Chance Law and the All of Us or None were both created to have a public reach and an impact to the government to tell them that they need to change what is going on and give more opportunities for the individuals that unfortunately have criminal background. The All of Us or None and the Fair Chance Law both prevent segregation from individuals with criminal background and treats them equally in the workforce. Now, the success that it had in Hawaii reflected in Minnesota, and the future states that it would have passed the law of All of Us or None. All of Us or None actually had a lot of impact towards these individuals and actually helped improve crime rates amongst other nations across the world. Now, as for the newer version of All of Us or None and or Ban the Box, we have the National Defense Authorization Act, which was added in the 2020 fiscal year. With this implementation, there were new job opportunities for ex-offenders to help them thrive in their life and after their incarceration. Now, this did seemingly help the individuals aid in acquiring new jobs in the federal government. However, these individuals are never properly given the proper treatment afterwards, nor are they given any alternative that is respectively economically budgeted. So in doing so, I believe that the National Defense Authorization Act wasn't the best act that occurred in the history of Ban the Box, because essentially these individuals, the ex-offenders, were falling back into recidivistic manners. Now, unfortunately, with the employers, they seemingly still do face signs of prejudice towards the ex-convicted individuals whenever they are given their application to these employers. The support of banning the box, however, such as Barack Obama supported Ban the Box by delaying the job applicant's criminal records until later on into the future of the process of the application. This actually helped individuals get further into the process instead of being weeded out at the very beginnings of the initial application process. As this happened to Hawaii and Minnesota, the amount of offendings has actually decreased drastically and helped with recidivistic tendencies and declining that rate from a drastic point of view. This seemingly also improved the lives and livelihoods of ex-offenders and actually provide a means for their family and for whoever they need to take care of. Now, as for the work environment and feeling of welcome and respect with their peers in their work environment, that has seemingly also improved throughout the years. And throughout the years, there has been more and more welcomings of LGBTQ members, African members, Latino members, working alongside with a co-shared company and members and faculties that can aid to benefit the company and not to just segregate the lower demographics or minorities of the groups. Now, I wanted to discuss briefly of the treatment programs that Ban the Box can suggest as for a means of helping the ex-convicted individuals fall back into a proper and steady holding into their future and after their incarceration. Personally, after doing the research for my project, I feel like having easier accessibility during incarceration and even after incarceration can definitely help with recidivistic tendencies across the nation. Having rehabilitation groups, group therapies, and other social events where these individuals can just speak and just connect and coexist with other individuals, whether it may be they are ex-convicted or not, The sense of trust and equality in the community is what we need in order to thrive the most in societal terms. In having more accessibility of these rehabilitation groups and group therapies and all these other extremities, they should definitely be extremely affordable after incarceration, because they are too expensive outside of incarceration. While they are incarcerated, it is actually a lot cheaper than what it is outside of incarceration, especially when an ex-convicted individual is just thrown back into society after the 2 years, for example, being incarcerated. It is extremely hard to find a job, and getting past their morals as a human being and being able to push themselves to actually send out applications to employers because of how hard it is, especially currently due to COVID and due to COVID-19's restrictions. And giving these opportunities can aid them to come back into a society much smoother and properly, and being able to not struggle as much as individuals who end up recidivizing back into their old tendencies. With this, they also need proper mental health support. As an advocate of proper mental health support, especially with members of the LGBT community, there are signs of declining mental health that these individuals face due to the stress, due to the depression that they face after their incarceration and throwing themselves back into society. It is a gigantic risk that these individuals are taking, and they deserve proper treatment, especially after doing their time that they needed to do. Now, I wanted to discuss briefly of race, gender, and age through Ban the Box. As for race, when I was doing my research on my project, I found that there is a bias and a stigma towards individuals with white-sounding names and black-sounding names. When an employer hears or even reads their applications of these future employers and versus two names, one white-sounding name and one black-sounding name, employers are more gravitated towards the white-sounding names because they are deemed to be more trustworthy and most likely do not have a criminal background history. This does play an important role in the decision-making process solely because of the color of the individual's skin. And now, on top of this, with the names that they are given at birth. As for gender, there are more recidivistic tendencies for members of the LGBTQA+ community. Members of the LGBT community are actually incarcerated more than the heterosexual cis counterpart because of the hostility and inhumane treatments that they have just for being queer, gay, lesbian, asexual, transgender. As for age, they are never given proper punishment. And by that I mean, for example, if an individual is incarcerated before the ages of 21, they tend to have a sort of leeway in the system and a preferred attention in the courts just because of their age. Their age plays a deciding factor of whether or not they are going to be getting the same amount of treatment as someone of a deeper complexion or of queer status. On this slide, I wanted to give a visual representation of what I was explaining to about the gender portion of my previous slide. Here we can see the rates of comparison between lesbian bisexual women and gay and bisexual women compared to their straight counterparts of women and males. LGBTQIA+ members are never expressed that they are given a chance in redeeming themselves in society. Now, if we do not ban the box, not only will these individuals not be getting employed because of past criminal records, but now the members of the community will fall back into recidivistic tendencies. While incarcerated, they will face and be more subjugated to inhumane conditions and treatment just because of their sexual orientation or gender that they identify as. This slide, I wanted to recommend some new policy and incorporations through the means of incarcerations, background checks, and the fair chance policy. In incarcerations, I wanted to modify the reasons for sentencing in certain states, such as the possession of 20 grams or less of cannabis is a misdemeanor and punishable by a maximum of a sentence of 1 year of imprisonment and a maximum fine of $1,000. I feel like modifying these penalties and these fees for the convicted individual, and for example, giving them more rehabilitation instead of directly incarcerating these individuals can help them in the long way out. As for background checks, I believe making background checks more affordable can actually help ban the box laws and make it much more acquaintable for individual of lower and middle class that seemingly can't really afford these background checks, as they can go up to like hundreds, maybe even $200s of dollars. Also, asking less invasive questions about their past at such early ages of the application process can definitely make the process much more smooth. As for the fair chance policy, it is basically written in the name, and it is giving a fair and equal opportunity for individuals with and without criminal backgrounds. Not having a bias just because of a white sounding name or a black sounding name, the color of someone's skin, the gender, the orientation of somebody. Being fair all around can make the ex-convicted individuals more likely to not have recidivistic tendencies and to have an actual good future and a good lifestyle after their incarceration time. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope that now you have a better understanding of Ban the Box and the histories, issues, and what it can do by removing the box. My name is Dillon Flores, and this concludes my presentation of the treasure box that should not be found, my senior project on Ban the Box. Thank you.